These are termites, or ants, emerging from the earth into the light of day. They have been living underground, waiting for a sign that said, "It's time." In their case, the signal was warm, early spring rains that told them it was time to re-enter the world above. Many native cultures of the American Southwest, the Hopi, Zuni, Navajo, and others, have emergence stories centered on Mother Earth. Some of the Hopi clans tell their story of emergence into this present world, the fourth world, since they say there were 3 other worlds they had lived in before this one. Their traditions tell of the destruction of each of the 3 previous worlds by the Creator, because people had forgotten to live as the Creator had directed them to live, in harmony, doing no injury to each other, living peacefully and blending with the land, and remembering all this and more with elaborate rounds of ceremony. Before the Creator destroyed each of the previous worlds, a small group of people who were remembering and following the Creator's directives were instructed to go live underground where they would be safe. In some versions, they went to live with the ant people, who shared everything they had. After the above-ground world was destroyed, the people called out and were given permission to climb up and emerge into the next world, where they would again attempt to live as the Creator had directed them. The most familiar representation of the emergence stories is the Sipapu, which has many symbolic locations. Part of the Creator's directive was for people to live at peace, in harmony with the world around them, to be part of the landscape rather than being separate from it. So we think the reenactment of these emergence stories can also be seen in the architectural remains of sites set within specific geological features scattered around the area now known as the Four Corners. Of course, we can't say for sure that these sites are related to emergence stories. We can only remark on the unique characteristics of this collection of sites. They all share physical characteristics tied to the geology of their location. Deep cracks or fissures in rocks, sometimes difficult to navigate, or passageways, either natural or constructed, that you crawl through to emerge at a different level. There are signs of ceremonial activity, often in the form of rock art. Some of the sites have both a sense of emergence and of birth or rebirth, both of which can also be tied to a sense of initiation. You go from one place, or way of being, to another, from one world, as it were, to another. Something important seems to have been occurring at these places. One of the first places that strongly brought this theme of emergence to our minds is a site not far from Flagstaff, aptly called Crack in the Rock Pueblo, which sits atop an isolated mesa. After working your way up and through a crack near the base of the mesa, you literally emerge from the crevice into a room within the site. Rocks in the area are covered with petroglyphs, attesting to great visitation to the site. Archaeologists don't think this mesa-top pueblo was used as a place of residence. Something else was happening here. But what? One clue might be this wall that appears to divide the site, and could have been used to separate one group or set of activities from the eyes of another. Why that might be, we don't know. This wall may have had openings at one time, corresponding to significant celestial occurrences, but when the wall was rebuilt by the excavators of the site, whatever openings there may have been were lost, because this happened before researchers became aware of the significance of celestial alignments in Native American architecture and rock art, something that didn't come to light, so to speak, until Anna Sofar rediscovered the sun dagger at Fajada Butte in Chaco Canyon in 1977. Some researchers see places like Crack in the Rock as part of a sacred landscape, whose special ceremonies were a means of dedicating and stabilizing the surrounding area and its many settlements. Much in the same way that the medieval cathedrals of Europe created a spiritual anchor for the surrounding area, Crack in the Rock could be seen as a shrine where a reenactment of creation stories served to strengthen the people's connection with their Creator and to remind them of their origins. We speculate this because the emergent stories of the Pueblo peoples are among the most important stories they tell. Another site, less dramatically situated but no less compelling, is this one, some ways east of Flagstaff, where two short passageways lead to, or from, a tiny sheltered clearing nestled in rocks just below the top of a bluff. There is no other way to access the clearing except through one of the passageways. Each passageway requires that you crawl or stoop to travel its narrow length. When you come up through one passageway into the tiny clearing, a large birthing scene petroglyph awaits you. Going down through the second passageway leads you to a petroglyph of a large, anatomically correct male figure. While not directly tied to emergence into the fourth world, the setting does contain elements that speak of the acts involved in emerging into the world at all, and perhaps an initiation into the status of adulthood. Other petroglyphs from various eras on other rock faces of the outcropping affirm that this too has been a place frequently visited for a long time. Another site, in a canyon in southeast Utah, seems to have been constructed for purposes similar to those at Crack in the Rock, on an even more imposing scale. The probable entrance, on top of the mesa, faces east, the direction of the rising sun, and is well constructed. Dropping down to enter the passageway, there is a strong sense of passage into an underworld. The long passageway within the cliff itself is built with stone slabs held in place by wooden supports, all across a narrow chasm, a fissure in the cliff that goes all the way down, a walk or crawl way not for the meek.
There's a ledge up high there, Dennis.
It would be good if these rocks stayed.
Yeah, walk to your right.
My God. That stick, I made a mistake bringing it in. Keeps hitting things. So, this is off the wall stuff.
Well, very off the wall. Look at all these rocks that came down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Crevasses.
here's where you need to stick your pod down there.
I'll be letting you go now.
Thank you.
Let my people go.
Wow.
Let's see if I can get back without falling. The dark passage leads to a large room, well lit by an opening in the cliff face. The space here feels very ceremonial, and has, near the floor of the chamber, another tunnel descending and twisting into the depths of the cliff. Stepping outside this large room onto a rock and into the light, one comes face to face with petroglyph images inscribed on the cliff face. Perched on the rock is the only place you can see these images clearly, which include anthropomorphic figures, some possible duck-like figures, and some circles. They were clearly meant to be seen only by those who had reached this room. As you return through the passageway, the probable exit brings you up and out to a circular stone structure, perhaps a shrine. There are also remnants of at least one kiva and a tower at the site. This place hints strongly of emergence, and like at Crack in the Rock, there are numerous petroglyphs along the base of the cliff below the shrine, attesting to great visitation. One particular cliff opening, halfway up the cliff face, leads out to a platform, above which are inscribed many petroglyphs as well. Both these petroglyph sites include duck and duck-headed figures, which remind us of the Zuni story of Kiaklo and the duck. Keakla was a hero looking for center place for his people. He went too far north and was blinded by the snow, but eventually was saved and guided home by the wise duck. The presence of these duck-related figures here, and the fact that the Zuni still have ceremonial sites in the caves above present-day Zuni, leads us to guess that the Zuni people are somehow connected to this amazing place. The site, high on the cliff face, has a commanding view and could be seen by many settlements in the area. Archaeologist Daniel Cutrone refers to places like this as sacred shrines. He feels that the cave is crucial to the stories of the place of emergence, and that even though the Kiva, the central religious structure in Puebloan culture, is used and accepted as a metaphorical cave, an actual earth opening is an essential element in the founding of a new community. These shrines, he feels, become a crucial element in the sacred landscape of a large settlement area and are a prime consideration in the establishment of prehistoric Pueblo centers in specific places in the landscape. We don't know one way or another about this, nor can we say for sure what the purpose of these sites has been. What we do know is that these unique sites embody an energy that is unmistakable, and that something powerful is still occurring here, a reminder to walk in harmony and peace.